I'm Coastal Access Officer for Dorset County Council, and my post is funded by Natural England. I work within the Countryside Access team, and I've worked very closely on this project with the Coastal Ranger team. The project's called the Weymouth Bay Coastal Access Project, and it's part of a much wider project to put in place the England Coast Path, which will ultimately go around the whole of the coast of England. And associated with that is an area of spreading room, which is an area where people have access everywhere seaward of the path. So that'll include places like the beaches and grassland areas on cliff tops. So you have that additional access. You'll have a coast path that you can walk around continuously around the coast of England. And there's also the tremendous bonus offered by a rollback provision, which means that as the cliffs slip into the sea, the path can automatically roll back, so that you don't lose that continuous access. And it means in 20 or 50 years' time, we'll still have a coast path in place, and that's a really significant benefit. The Weymouth Bay stretches from Lulworth Cove and around the coast, along Weymouth Promenade, and as far as Portland, crossing over at Ham Beach before it ends at Rufus Castle above Church Oak Cove. One of the most interesting parts of the process has been talking to all the landowners along the stretch. So that consultation has been going on since 2010. So for 2 years we've been consulting with the landowners, and it's been fascinating finding out more about their special area of land. They're often very enthusiastic and know a lot about the history and the wildlife, and obviously what they use that land for. One of the difficulties we've had has been that we have been on quite a short time scale as well. You'd normally expect the whole process to take around 4 years, and it's actually been packaged into 2 years for us so that we could get the rights in place in time for the sailing events of the Games at Weymouth and Portland. We're very proud to achieve the Inspire Mark. The Inspire Mark is awarded for exceptional and innovative projects that are connected with the 2012 Games. We've put in new infrastructure to make the path easier to use for people and easier to access. And this has included things like boardwalks and steps and new gates, and also signage and waymarks so that the route is clear on the ground. We have avoided putting in too much new infrastructure or signage where it's not necessary, just to keep the beautiful coastal landscape clear. And some of that installation work has actually been done by volunteers. Directly opposite the National Sailing Academy at Portland, where the sailing events of the 2012 Games are taking place, and we're in front of the new steps that were put in as part of the new coastal access. So this is new access to the beach and provides access which was severed by landslips in the past. The coast path's used by many local people, especially dog walkers, and you get visitors, international visitors, national visitors and day trippers all come specially to use the coast path and to experience the whole Jurassic coastline.
I manage the Coastal Ranger team, and as one of the various projects that we get involved in is the Coastal Access Project. It's been very difficult to predict what the Olympic sailing events are going to mean to the management of the wider rural coast in Weymouth Bay. But we've been very fortunate in being able to recruit and train and uniform a small team of 15 volunteers, local volunteers, who are out patrolling and adopting sections of coast and being our eyes and ears on the ground, and as well as carrying out some practical works for us, such as litter picking. They're reporting back any issues or problems that they come across.
During this Olympic period, the volunteer coastal rangers have been particularly helpful to us on the coastal path.
We used a volunteer group over the course of a weekend to help construct the steps down at the underbarn. They give us the extra manpower we need to get the steps made, so obviously it's quite a big construction job.
My job as a coastal ranger is to maintain and repair the coastal path, such as brush cutting, chainsawing, hedge trimming, and installing furniture such as stiles, gates, fences and signage.
Coast Path walkers give local businesses a tremendous boost, bringing in 1 in 4 visitors to the southwest. We're at Portland Museum, which is near Rufus Castle, not far from Church Oak Cove, which is one end of the England Coast Path on the Weymouth Bay stretch. To prevent any environmental impacts, we consulted widely with teams of experts in geodiversity, biodiversity, landscape and in historic environment. We've achieved our aim of putting in place the first 32 kilometres of the England Coast Path while minimising environmental impacts on our beautiful coastline.
I'm Neil Constable. I work for Natural England and I'm a senior advisor in the coastal access team, and my role, my responsibility has been to oversee the improvement of coastal access from Weymouth Bay. The team I lead is a fairly small team. There's 2 or 3 people from Natural England, but working very closely with Dorset County Council, and in particular Sue Pownall, the Dorset County Council Coastal Access Officer, and members of the Coastal Ranger team. The team I led, and with Dorset County Council's assistance, were primarily focusing on improving public access to the coast along Weymouth Bay. And what that meant was to talk to landowners who own the land, manage the land, talk to interest groups who walk the routes that already exist, to look at how we could improve it, how we could make it better. Could we take routes off the road, closer to the sea? Could we get a better view? What could be done? And once we got all those ideas together, we put those out for public consultation to hear what everyone else had to say. Change 1 or 2 things, and then we had to submit all of that to government for their approval ahead of the Games. And once we got that approval from government, we were able to do work on the ground to put in bits of new gates, open up new sections of path, and deliver it in time for the Olympic sailing events. And the purpose behind all of that was to give people not just a good route along the coast, but also, as part of that process, part of that approval, was give people a right of access to the land seaward of that path. So for the first time, people could access beaches, foreshore, cliff tops, legally. I mean, during the Games, it was just brilliant to see people sat on the foreshore, on the rocks, where they could be, by right now, watching their yachts racing. Fantastic. The flags were flying, the sky was blue, couldn't be better. The significant benefit to local business is the income that walkers bring, users of the path. The South West Coast Path as a whole around the peninsula generates 300 million for the region's economy. It's big money, big business. I summarise the success of this project in 2 bits. The first was to deliver improved coastal access to Weymouth Bay in time for the Olympic Games, and that was done. People enjoyed it, and it was good games. But the second is more far-reaching, because going through that process to do that has given us a blueprint, and it's a blueprint which can be applied to the rest of the country to give us a coast path around the entire coast of England.
So 1st of July we had some celebration walks to celebrate these new rights of access, and from the autumn this year we'll be continuing around the coast around to Lyme Regis, so that will extend west through Dorset, and then following that in a few years' time we'll be extending towards the Hampshire border as well, so that the whole of Dorset will have the England Coast Path.